that two players had to drop out of, and so we had to kill it. It was really fun. Really, really liked it. Yeah. It, how much people want to hear about this? Basically, the setting is inside of a magical map. And the map went wild. The magic, when they were trying to create the map, went wild and, like, started trying to map the entire multiverse. And so what it does is it jumps around and, like, creates copies of different things. And, like, basically makes, like, a patchwork world that's, like, kind of randomly being added to. And the idea is that as it copied different things, it copied for people who had connection to lunar magic, like Circle the Moon Druid and, like werewolf lycanthropy thing and like a couple different things. And that it, instead of like just copying their place, it also copied the aspects of the different moons that gave them their power. And so they ended up with this like shattered moon that would orbit above like their area and like was kind of tying, because it was different chunks of each of their moons, their power started to like flow back and forth. And so like, because one of them had like an elven moonblade, and his moonblade could manifest, I don't know if you're familiar with the Forgotten Realms lore of the moonblade, but like as the moonblade gets passed down generationally, it creates runes as each wielder adds to its like total power. And basically as this went on, their lunar magic was all flowing, so like he started creating runes on other people's weapons instead of just his own. And the werewolf could like pass his like lycanthropic stuff into other shapeshifters in the party. And then like there was a shaman who had like a connection to like a lunar spirit, and the werewolf started developing his own lunar spirit like in response to it. So it was like a brand new like wolf spirit, like lunar wolf spirit. And there was a lot of like connective stuff between it all. And it was really cool. It's just unfortunate because, real life. Real life's the worst. I would run D&D twice a day, every day, if I made enough money from it. Maybe I'd need a little time to breathe. Maybe weekends off. I don't know. I love it, though. I get so much energy back from Dungeons and Dragons that, like, man. And if I play with somebody else who's super into it, I get so hype. I get, like, so much energy comes back. Like, it becomes like a feedback loop. They get excited. I get excited. I run a better game. They get more excited. I get excited. And it's like crazy. You always run D&D on the weekends? Yeah, I almost never run on the weekends. I'll occasionally run, like, I'm doing it every other Saturday and an every other Sunday right now. And they're opposite, because that's like weekend is when I kind of try to be like a normal baby, normal human born baby. Like I want to be like blending in and maybe go out to a movie and go outside the house for like 3 minutes so I can regret it, and then I get to go back and hide in my cave. I don't know, but I'm working on magic inspired by the World Tree and the Bifrost Bridge, so working on some spells for that. And I figured, hey, I'm working on this. Maybe I should stream this before I stream Magic at lunch, since I'm actually doing work. I'm curious how much it's going to distract me, because it's probably going to distract me a little bit. Yeah? Well, why haven't you played, Crow? That map is already made. It was for a game that never ended up happening. Well, we ran like 4 or 5 sessions and then had to cancel it. Yeah. Well, we do have a looking for group channel on the Discord if you're looking. But yeah, I used some software to make that map. It was fun. Frost Titan guarding the bridge that leads to the map of the world tree. Yeah. I've already got the spells done for the most part. I'm just working on editing them and getting them ready to release. So yeah, I should probably repost that. In fact, I should probably go fix my link tree while I'm like sitting here working, right? Yeah. Why do you say you're not good at it, Fuzzy? I bet you're better than you think. One of the best things of advice I can give for people who quote unquote are bad at D&D is just let go. Just be goofy, do the voice, throw your hands around, screech to the moon. Like one of my favorite things was my buddy Don joined our group for the first time. We'd been friends for years in various social circles, but I'm finally like, hey, why don't you come play D&D with us? And he was like, bet. And like, so we go to play there, and he plays a druid, right? He plays a druid. We're like all getting into it. Everybody's excited. He's like, wow, this group's really good at role playing, and like suddenly just like jumps up on his chair as he says he wild shapes into a raven, and he does like the bird wings and screeches and squawks in this like bird voice, and like none of us had ever played with him before, and it was like the most unhinged, no doubt, I'm gonna jump in and be this crazy freaking bird person, and like it was amazing. And even though like occasionally he could be a lot, like it was worth it. It was worth it. It was worth it. He added so much energy to our group, and like was so fun. But he never quite lived down the screeching, squawking. Oh, the Matt Mercer effect. The Matt Mercer effect. I have so much to say about that. I will say I have been at conventions where Matt Mercer was there DMing and been told I was at least as good as him. And that is me saying what somebody else said to me. That is not me, like, tooting my own horn, you know? You would ask Coma for a ride? Oh, like World Serpent? Got it. You know, and why do I say that? Why do I bring that up? The Matt Mercer effect, like, people talk about this, like, you know, Critical Role has transformed the gaming space, and there's such high expectations. I would say the high expectation the gaming space has now is for production value, right? Like, people want, like, a really polished actual play, but Matt Mercer and Critical Role are so good because those people are, like, paid. Like, they get to be there and throw away all their worries and all their stress, and they don't have to think about their kids. They don't have to think about their job. They don't have to think about the fight they just had with their mom or their boyfriend or whatever, because that's paying the bills. Hey, Warpaint, how's it going? That's paying the bills. And so to go into that with that mindset of freedom and just be like, hey, everything's okay. Everybody can get there, but it is so much harder to do if you're not getting paid. Not to mention, I love Master of Sadness. Thanks for following me. I love them so much. I actually really like Critical Role. But one of the other things about that is because they are paid voice actors, they do not push back on rules. They do not question Matt's decisions or calls very much. Very rarely have you ever said, I don't think Fireball works that way, right? You've never heard a player, I shouldn't say never, but it was incredibly rare. And the lack of pushback, the lack of acknowledging the game mechanics from the players is highly unusual. That is, like, not something that people do. Most people are always, like, asking questions. They're stepping into characters. Instead of just letting, you know, that partnership. If they're comfortable, I believe a player should narrate as much as they feel comfortable with. But that is pretty rare. And if you're not comfortable with it, you should just say, hey, DM, like, I'm going to do the thing. Tell me what happens. And I think that back and forth, you know, like, really can be magical. You fell out of love with Critical Role, embraced AD&D. I love second edition. Unfortunately, I'm not down in my main gaming room. You should see, like, my whole setup down there and all the second edition stuff I have. Second edition was incredible. Loved It was the age of Ascendant campaign settings, and I freaking adored it. But why did you fall out of Critical Role? And why are those two things mutually exclusive to you? I'm curious. Because you know that Critical Role started out as a Pathfinder First Edition game, right? It actually changed editions in the middle of the first season and systems. I say editions because to me, Pathfinder is just D&D 3.75 or whatever. But that changed, and then they erased all those old ones. They are separated. They are separated. Just used one sentence. They are separated. I'm wondering maybe if something you typed got screened. Because I don't see anything that would look separated. Oh, you know, I went for rights-free fantasy music, and good golly, this might put me to sleep. You mean you meant both? Right. I get that you... I guess I'm not sure why... I'm confused. Got too big. So they became too successful, you think? This is a problem I run into myself a lot. Oh yeah, thanks for the follow. I definitely run into this. Like, I really like Brandi Carlile, but her music's become much more distant from me as she got more successful, because her life and the way she reacts to everything is just very different now that she's wealthy, right? She's just having a different life. And that's, I am so happy for her, but like at the same point, like, her life is hardly recognizable to me, right? And that's not her fault. That's just success. I have tried Daggerheart. It's super fun. I will say this: if you are looking for a game that replaces D&D with a less swingy system, let me do this better. Daggerheart is incredibly player forward. Would you agree with this statement then, Greg? You say you're playing it. I love the Hope Dice mechanic, but the exploding dice and the Hope Dice mechanic where you end up like the players can keep the initiative until the fight's over sometimes. And you know, that's incredibly unlikely, right? I get that. I get that it's incredibly unlikely. But players can kind of like trivialize the fight as if they do good role playing and roll well, right? And I don't think that's bad, because I don't think Daggerheart is a game about struggling and grim dark whatever. It is a game. It is a hope punk game, right? Yeah. You've had and I think if you roll average, it's great. It just feels really good sometimes. I don't know what was going on with me during that game. And this is me. I almost always Dungeon Master, so I rarely get to play, right? And I had the best rolls, and I kept that initiative locked in for like a solid hour of our demo time. And like, we dominated that thing. And I was helping the DM kind of explain the mechanics, and it was just crazy. No, I get it too. And there's Warpaint. There's also just a different thing with like, Critical Role has definitely embraced. I'm gonna say this, and I love Brian Lee Milligan. I love him. I'm so happy he's doing season 4. D&D doesn't have to be comedy to be funny, and like making it about comedy is fine. And I actually think he's gonna do a very serious game. He did a very serious crossover for Calamity. I think it was great. I don't think he's just like comedy, right? But that energy has slowly biased live play, and you have people like, Yeah, I think he's really, really talented, really, really great. I would love to play with Brennan someday. But I also think that like Sam Riegel, Brennan Lee Mulligan, there's a lot of people who inject a lot of like wacky fun into gaming, and I think that Critical Role, like, you know, definitely season 2, you had like Jester and like a little more wacky zaniness. I think if what's his name, Mollymock hadn't, you know, happened, that season would have been so fluffy and light. I mean, there are moments. I definitely preferred 3, except for Fresh Cut Grass was a little too slap happy for me. But yeah, Brennan Lee Logan though is really, really cool. I'm excited to see what he does. Am I going to fall asleep and sleep through my Magic stream because I did this stream? Who knows? Joe, welcome in. Wait, JoJo? Like Batman stan Joe Maziarz? It is you, isn't it? I can see by your profile. Okay. I did a video about this earlier, and homebrew is something you only intend to use in your game. I am going to die on this hill, and I love everybody in our community, but I'm actually working on a product to sell. So, it is something I'm making. Yes, it is a third-party thing through my own self-publishing company. It has lots of professionals working on it. Like, I don't know Warpaint, if you know, but like, this is the kind of stuff I make. Like, this is my book. You know, it's like inspired probably mostly by like 3.5 and Pathfinder. Of course, I can't find like any pictures, but you know, like, this is from my head. You know, this is the kind of stuff I do. So like, yes, technically I am homebrewing it, but it will be refined to the point where it is professional. I've been doing professional paid game design for 15 years, so it's weird. I kind of hate, like, there's a really amazing creator. It's for Pathfinder First Edition Terra, so not a lot of people want it, or would work for 3.5. But amazing creator who has done so much damage, and I love them. I love their stuff, but they put homebrew in their publishing company's name, and they're incredibly popular, and they have muddied the water so much. It is so confusing to people who don't understand the difference. Like, I have people who call Kobold Press homebrew. Kobold Press is written by people who have worked at Wizards of the Coast more than the people who work there now. So, like, to say Kobold Press is homebrew is just mind-boggling to me. But yet, I get, you know, someone today was arguing with me about it, and I'm just like, it is not the same thing. It is a publication, correct? Like, this has cloth binding in it. I don't know if you know much about, like, book binding, but this is, like, as real as any book you would find in Barnes & Noble. Like, actually more real than some of them, because some of them use perfect binding. But, like, it doesn't matter. I get a little defensive about it, and this is something I'm working on, right? Because it's, I don't know. Let's say you're mostly, like, flavoring witch spells. There would be some stuff that would be witch appropriate. So one of the things that's challenging about class design in D&D, and I think Krista had to go, and I'm kind of sad. Vitae, welcome back. Psionics, I love Psionics so much. And actually, the Mystic and I think the new Scion both have, like, a built-in, you know,